It's Perp back with another video, and Happy New Year. This is the very first review of the new year, and what a way to kick it off with this brand new Netflix series called Kaleidoscope. This is starring Giancarlo Esposito. Crazy name, but you know him as Gus, you know him in The Boys, you know him in Mandalorian. People know his face, but he is starring in this brand new, very different type of interactive type of I guess you could call a show, where there's 9 episodes, and the big pitch of this whole entire movie is you can pretty much watch it in any order. So you can start with all the even numbers or even all the odd numbers, or start with your favorite color, because each episode is named after a color. But I will give you my rankings of my favorite episodes towards the end of this video. I want to know how you guys watched this. Did you watch it in order like me, or did you start from the end to the beginning? So yeah, let me know how you guys feel about it. So you have a slew of different characters throughout this whole entire series. The main character being Leo, played by Giancarlo Esposito. He is trying to get together this crew so they can rob this bank and get away with, what was it, like $500 billion or something like that, or close to $1 billion. I have no idea. I'm kind of iffy with that number. I'm pretty sure it was like about $500 million, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money. And like I said earlier, each episode is based off of a color. Not necessarily has anything to do with any of the characters, but it's just like kind of, they kind of give you those themes of, if it's red, you'll see a lot of red, or just hints of red, or hints of blue if the episode name is blue. So yeah, I like Leo as the main character. He's the leader. He is pretty much at the end of his rope at this point, where he has Parkinson's. He has not that much time before it completely takes over. So he comes up with this whole entire scheme to just pretty much rob the rich. But not only rob the rich, to get back at this this character named Roger, I'll just put that in air quotes, that is from his past, that he wants to get revenge on, and he becomes obsessed with just taking everything from him, because he feels like he has taken everything from him in the past, and he had to serve like 17 years in prison. That's also where he meets characters like Stan, Bob and Judy. Those are kind of like the Bonnie and Clyde kind of couple, but there's kind of a love triangle between Bob, Stan, and Judy. Judy's more of like the chemist. Bob is kind of more of like the schemer. Stan's an interesting character, because the episode Green really made me like his character. Ava was also an interesting character as well. She plays like Leo's new like kind of love interest, because they do explain what happens to Leo and his past wife, and also his connection with his daughter Hannah. And Hannah plays an interesting role, even though she does some things that really pissed me off. I was just like, really? Especially that last episode, the white episode. I was just like, I get that, but at the same time, it really kind of pissed me off that you would do that. Like, you go through all this planning just to do that, and it's just like, you kind of walk away with it. But anyways, getting back to these characters, and I just like how, starting from the beginning, we start with episode 1, which is Black. It's not really much of an episode. It's more so just like an intro explaining exactly what this show is, which was kind of an odd placement, but I guess it makes sense for just the overall kind of story that they're telling. Then we get into Blue and Green, where episode Blue shows you exactly their plan and what they're trying to accomplish, who this guy Roger is, kind of giving you a little bit more insight on who he is as a character. Everything seemed like it was going well until certain things went left and they had to just kind of either choose to just back away from this plan and just not do this heist at all, or just risk it all, and if they are successful, they don't have to ever do none of this stuff ever again. They don't have to live a life of crime. They don't have to struggle no more. They can take care of their families. It's very familiar. Like, the story beats are very simple. It's very easy to follow. And I think you needed to do that with a story that's just so interconnected, where you could kind of start anywhere. You don't want to kind of make things too convoluted or confusing, because that would turn people off. So a lot of things are very simple and basic. I'm not the biggest fan of the dialogue at times throughout this, but like I said, the presentation and just the structure of the show kind of keeps you engaged and keeps you glued. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of give the dialogue a pass, because it's not to say it's terrible dialogue, it's just very generic. It's very basic. Some of it is a little forced, some of it doesn't really fit. It kind of feels out of place. But like I said, I think there's a lot to enjoy out of this whole entire series. I've definitely enjoyed the last 3 episodes, that being red, pink, and white. I definitely like how this started. There's some interesting things that happen in the middle, some characters that don't get shown on like promotional posters and stuff like that, like the one federal agent that's trying to put everything together. I really liked her whole episode and her introduction in the orange episode, and her connection, or her bumping heads with Ava and trying to take her down, and just them kind of having this past beef. And I just like that every time that she feels like she's figured something out about the case, she's actually like 5 steps behind, and they're 5 steps ahead of her. And it's really interesting to see that whole scenario kind of play out, and see other characters that we don't see, like RJ, which I'll say he's not too much of a pivotal character, but it is interesting to see what ends up happening to his character, and what ultimately happens to all these different characters throughout this whole entire series. And I like that they saved the heist for the last episode. The last 3 episodes, like I said, were very action-packed, very tense. You don't know who you could really trust, like who got screwed over, like who can you really trust. Even though, like I said, it's very telegraphed, sometimes predictable at certain places, but like I said, I feel like that was kind of the compromise or the sacrifice they had to make, so they didn't have to make this like super overcomplicated, because I think that would kind of turn people off. But here's like my ranking of these episodes, because I found this series to be fascinating. I would definitely watch this again to see if I missed anything, because there's definitely at some points where it's just like I probably missed a little bit of details here and there. There's a lot of interesting little hints and clues, and just tie-ins, and the themes of love, betrayal, friendship, greed. It's all encompassed into this series, and with all these different characters, they all have different motives. Some of them are very similar, but in different ways. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this series. I think this was one hell of a way to kick things off for 2023, the new year. But I want to know your thoughts on how y'all felt about this series as a whole. Will people go back to watch this multiple times? Maybe, maybe not. I don't see this being everybody's cup of tea. If you're not really into heists or like that kind of genre, this might not be for you, but I definitely think you should definitely check it out if you have nothing else to watch this weekend or this week. But till next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.